So we finally have the Superman trailer, and I'll get straight to it. I fundamentally believe that we have something on our hands that could very easily become the definitive take for a whole new generation on the Big Blue Boy Scout. This movie is grounded and rooted in what makes Superman Superman. You can tell it is made by a fan of the character and is looking to depict a hero that stands for what he believes in, stands for what he believes is right in the midst of all sorts of adversity. What I love about what we've seen so far is it almost seems like an inversion in a way of the usual setup for Superman in relation to the rest of the superhero world. So it's usually depicted that Superman is the catalyst. He's usually the one who sets off the age of heroes in DC, kind of reflecting him being the first measurable comic book hero on the landscape. And this, from a practical standpoint, that's not what we have here. There are other superpowered beings out and about. There are other cosmic level situations going on as he's trying to learn how to be Superman, because this is a Superman who is learning how to be Superman. This is not a take on the character that has everything together, has it all figured out. He doesn't know how to work with other people. He doesn't know how to be a part of a team and work within a larger context. We see all of that fleshed out in the interview scene between him and Lois. But I think what we're going to see here is, even though Clark is not the first, he will still be a catalyst point for showing people how things could be done, that showing people that it is okay to hope, and being that distinguished piece in a world of shades of gray. He is standing for hope and justice. He is standing for the things that make him him. He is acting as a paragon of those virtues. He is standing as a paragon for attributes that make a hero a hero. Because here's the thing, this movie looks like it's going to explore how the world sees Superman and how he sees the world. Superman is a moral disruptor in a world that's run by systems and agendas. It looks like the background driving force for this entire thing is going to be three pronged. You've got Lex, you've got Maxwell Lord, and you've got the government. And that is a perfect entry point to be able to help people come in, get their feet grounded in a new cinematic universe while still opening the door for cosmic level threats and big, large storytelling. And that's one of the things that I think James Gunn is going to hit it out of the park with. That the trope is that Superman is invincible, that you can't actually tell a compelling Superman story because he is so powerful. And that's just simply not the case. Maybe once upon a time, his character was essentially a deus ex machina, where you just threw him into the equation because he could do whatever and he could conquer whatever. But I would argue, really, since the 90s, there has been a very big push at having credible threats that challenge him on a variety of levels. It's not as simple as one person hit hard, other person hit harder, and then we get Rock'em Sock'em Robots. No, a good quality storyteller can take the character of Superman and use him as a storytelling device and challenge him on other levels outside of just big thing hit hard. Because I think this is going to be a Superman that is naively virtuous, not used to being questioned. So we get this back and forth between Lois and Clark, and I loved this scene. I understand that there are people who have had a lot to say about how this all plays out, but I fundamentally believe that we are getting amazing character work with that, just this quick look at the exchange between these two. Lois has been depicted as everything from a damsel in distress to a cutthroat reporter whose sole and primary objective is to tell the truth. Everything else be damned. She's going to tell the truth. And it looks like that's kind of the middle ground between these two that we're going to see, where they both want truth, they both want justice. But Lois is coming at it from the world's view point of view, the very human point of view, where she's asking big questions. And I don't think it's wrong to ask those big questions when you're talking about the idea of an alien stepping in with all of these powers and all of these abilities, stepping into the world's landscape and doing different things, getting involved in different things. Likewise, you have Superman, who is just trying to stand for what he stands for. And he's looking at the world in terms of, I'm just trying to help people. I'm just trying to be virtuous. I'm just trying to do as I know how to do, driven by empathy and moral clarity, not authority. And that's where we're going to see the rub between Superman and the power structures that are at play. I love that so far, from what we've seen out of James Gunn, the connective tissue that we have as the building blocks of the universe thus far sit at the level of systems and authority. Because the classic back and forth for Superman, yeah, you've got big threats that can very easily get involved and be established in this world. But at its core, you have the age old story of Lex versus Superman. And that's where I think Nicholas Holt is going to shine in this movie because the dude knows how to be impactful and serious and methodical. He also knows how to chew the friggin' scenery. He knows how to act the paint off the walls. And I think that's exactly what we're going to get here. So, that structure of morality, system, authority is going to be all over this. And that's why I say what I say about Clark being a catalyst for a different way of doing things because I fundamentally believe that we are going to get a classic big blue Boy Scout figure in contrast to today's trend of morally gray antiheroes. And I think that it's going to be because Superman is going to be at odds with the Lord Tech superheroes. Because again, I think they're working for Maxwell Lord. I think the guy in the suit is going to be an agent of Lex. The blade of I'm blanking on the fictional city that they have set up. I think we're going to see the straightforward threat that Superman is looking to vanquish, but along the way, we're going to see the subtext. We're going to see Superman in his autonomy against the state sanctioned team of Guy Gardner, Hawkgirl, Metamorpho, and Mr. Terrific. I think we are going to see his actions start to tear down and show these other superpowered teams that there is a better way of doing it. I'm not sure that's all going to happen in one movie, but I think, again, it's going to be an inversion of that idea that Superman is the catalyst. I think he's still going to be the catalyst. It's just not that he's going to be the first one on the scene. It's just that he's going to show that there is still value in looking to the light. And that's where I think and that's the level that it looks like Lex is going to be sitting at. Lex looks like he's being depicted as a petty, narcissistic figure. He hates how much attention and notoriety and fame Superman is getting, how much admiration he's getting from the public. And he's embodying the core of Lex's character. He is resentful of Superman's light and driven by ego and a superiority complex that he believes that mankind should be the top dog and that we shouldn't be looking for help outside of ourselves. And so while I think there's going to be plenty of action in this movie, this is going to be a story driven by a battle that's not just against villains, but against cynicism and fear and institutional power. Superman is probably going to need to learn collaboration and to balance his moral compass with real world consequences. One of the things that this trailer, I think, gets so beautifully right is it's a breath of fresh air from everything else that we have right now with superhero storytelling on the big screen. I think this is going to be an overall optimistic message. And I think we just desperately need that right now. As a people, as a humanity, we need something that is grounded and soaked and saturated in optimism, especially from comic book films. With the genre being around for as long as it has, and especially with all of the stuff that Marvel is doing right now, all being very anti hero military coded, there's room in the conversation for this just to be out and out optimism. Like, that's who Superman is. He is this light in the darkness. So let him be the light in the darkness. And I'm loving the fact that we are getting a look at Lois. And I'm loving that we are getting that juxtaposition between Superman and Lois, where Superman has all of these lofty ideals and Lois is grounding him in reality. I already love the chemistry between these two. And the world that it's setting up, yeah, there's a lot going on. And I would argue that this trailer made you more excited if you were already excited. I'm fundamentally sure if you're already coming into this with a point of view that says, I don't want anything to do with this for one reason or another, it's not the MCU, it's not the Snyderverse, it's not this, it's not that, then this trailer probably didn't do anything for you. But I look at this and I see a glimpse into a new world for comic book storytelling. Yeah, eventually we'll get the Justice League. Yeah, eventually we'll get other heroes. Yeah, eventually we'll get a larger context. But James Gunn looks to be setting the stage for something bigger than just Superman without jumping the shark and going straight to, hey, this is how we're going to get to the Justice League. This is how we're going to introduce this character. This is how we're going to introduce that character. There are so many pieces that are on the board at any given time in the DC universe that it makes sense to have some of these pieces be secondary characters that aren't necessarily those top shelf characters because we don't need them right away. We need to establish Superman in who he is. And if there's anyone on the board today who can marry the worlds of grounded and cosmic, that can marry the worlds of authentic to the human experience while questioning what does it mean to be human? What does it mean to be optimistic? What does it mean to stand for your morality and to say this is something that we can put our focus on? This is somebody who stands for truth and justice and right. That's why I say that this may be the most comic book accurate version of the Big Blue Boy Scout that we have ever seen. That this has the ability and the power to sit in the pantheon of the takes of the Big Blue Boy Scout. So let me know, did you enjoy the trailer? Are you hyped for this movie? Are you going to go see it? Let me know. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe so that way you let other people know what we've got going on here. We're a small but mighty channel, and every single share, every single interaction helps. Let me know what else you want to hear me talk about. I've got a lot more comic book related content coming. We are going to be looking at Superman's history in the comics, different things like that. But until next time, peace.